Guys, are you ready? Because the future of Manchester United is now, as this weekend, as Man United hosts Nottingham Forest in the English Premier League, we are likely to see three generational talents start a game of football together. Isn't that what you hoped for? Isn't that what Ineos wanted? Isn't that what Amorim has always wanted? Amorim, Ruben Amorim, Amorim, Amorim. Ruben Amorim, we got him. He says he doesn't like his chant. What a tune, man. It's more than a chant. It's an anthem, the Amorim anthem. I will tell you, soon Old Trafford will be coming up with this teenage sensation chant because Kobbie Mainoo is back and available for selection after sitting out of the previous game because of accumulating many yellow cards. He's out. So is Lisandro Martinez. Of course, we are happy about Lisandro Martinez's return, but the joy more for me is on the side of the youngins who are there and ready to contribute because we do know what Ruben Amorim can do with young kids and how he has been waxing lyrical about all of them. Very impressed by Ahmad. In fact, he did direct that they do expedite his contract talks and they're ongoing now to see him get a new 5-year contract, tie him and lock him in because it's an important part of the team. People are talking of Quenda coming in to take that position where Ahmad plays, but Ahmad is certainly impressing Ruben Amorim, I think, more than anyone else. Now, listen, Kobbie Mainoo, Lenny Yoro, and Amad Diallo could be starting against Nottingham Forest. Now, this is something for me that I think would be the start of this new official start of the new dawn of Ineos because the one thing that we definitely want to see is young players given an opportunity and we see how they perform with Ruben Amorim in charge. We want to see how under Ruben Amorim the young kids will come in and show their talent and express themselves and how competitive they can be. Because of course, one of the biggest disquiets that people have with young kids is the fact that they might not be as competitive as they should be. They might have the talent and excitement, but not the composure and maturity to manage games and win games of football. But you see, my feeling is if you don't trust them, you wouldn't know what they can do. And Amorim is that coach at Man United who has chosen to trust the youngins. Now, if we get to see Lenny Yoro start in the backline because he came off the bench in the previous game against Arsenal, had a brilliant few minutes, if you ask me, made his first debut for his senior debut for the team. I expect him to be, I think, in the mood now for more minutes, and I expect him to be starting if Amorim's own words are anything to go by. Because what he does, if some players have rested for a particular game, they start the next, and those who've played the other, are rested for the next, and stuff like that. That's his strategy to ensure that players manage the so many fixtures that are being played at the club. So my feeling and my view is that if we do have Lenny Yoro playing in that back line, we do have Kobbie Mainoo, who I expect to be starting straight in the midfield, probably with Casemiro. Most probably, he will be starting with Casemiro against Nottingham. And then up top, we've got Ahmad also starting out wide. For me, that is a good balance in terms of us having enough young kids for the future to be starting to give us an idea of what Man United will be looking like in a few months from now. Because I do believe in a few months from now, maybe 8, maybe 10 or 12, whatever, but in not so many years from now, we are going to see a new look Man United. And it will be these kids like Ahmad, Kobbie, kids like Konki, kids like Lenny Yoro, who will be steering the ship. So I think for me, this is the time to initiate them, to get them in, and to start creating a chemistry with them. And if we are going to see them play together for the first time, I think it will be a good look on Manchester United. We don't care what baby mistakes they could make. We don't care. They will just excite us. They have already excited us. But also, the thing with these kids is they've got a certain level of maturity that I actually don't expect so many errors to be made in a game where the three of them started. I know people who are always, are reserved, the disquiets about having so many young kids in a team. I don't believe in that. I think today you want to trust young kids. Young kids, all they need is guidance and trust. Guide them in terms of what you want them to do and trust them to do it. If you do that, these young kids will amaze you. So for me, it's a big step in the direction we are trying to head with Man United and Ineos. And for Amorim, he should be celebrating and happy from within because you already, I've told you of the boy Godwill Kukonki, who has been traveling with the team. He was actually in the on the bench for the Arsenal game. That shows you that Amorim is the coach who will trust young kids, train them and teach because he's a teacher, he's a head coach. So what he loves and knows to do is teach kids football. And this is the age, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. Those are the ages where they are in their formative years where you can train them and teach them things. So, but you don't teach them things and keep them on the bench. So if you got to take the big bite, I mean, it's Old Trafford after all. These kids excite Old Trafford. They will be chanting their names. They will have the full backing of the home crowd. It's Nottingham Forest really. They are above us now, but they are not the best of clubs that would scare Man United. They were beaten by a terrible Man City. Of course, it sounds blasphemy to call Man City terrible, but terrible in terms of how they have been performing in the last games. But they did bounce back on them in Manchester. They are coming back to Manchester. They should be getting worse torment than that. So my feeling is we might get to see these three kids playing a game together. I predicted some time back that I do strongly believe that in the future, Kobbie Mainoo will be captain of Man United. And I do still believe that. So for me, I'm beginning to see that be taking shape. So the future is taking shape now. You can drop down a comment and let me know how excited you are about that. I'll be, of course, back here to give you my probable starting 11 for that home game. But expect probably Sandro Martinez to be taking his place on the left of the back three. Then central defense, perhaps we could see the central defense is probably. I actually think we could be shocked and we see either. Okay, delete might be kept there, but I wouldn't be extremely shocked if this bold man, Ruben Amorim, puts Lenny Yoro to play in central defense and he puts Mazraoui on the right. I wouldn't be so shocked. If not, Mazraoui could be rested because I think Mazraoui has played too much football. He could be rested. It's difficult to make that decision for a coach, but we've realized now, we've figured that Amorim is not shy and afraid to make certain decisions. But of course, he's got a lot of options in the back now, I think. But I expect Martinez to be there in that back line with Lenny Yoro. The third person, we may not be sure, but I expect those two at least to be there. In the middle, I'll go for KOBBIE, of course, with Casemiro, who was rested for the whole of the previous game. And then he might put, certainly Bruno will play. I don't see him benching Bruno really. So Bruno will certainly be there because it opens up opposition. I mean, what Bruno adds to the team, I think from what we've seen under Ruben Amorim, is quite important. When he's not there, there is something lacking, a bit of it. I don't think he has got the confidence yet to bench him or rest him, whatever you might want to call it. But even Bruno himself is always ready to play. I think this being a home game, I don't think it's one where Bruno will be leaving out, especially if he's going to have a couple of young players in there. He needs Bruno on the pitch to be guiding them from on. Then, of course, Ahmad wide, Bruno with Zakzi. Then Rashford will perhaps lead the line. And then wide, I think Malaysia could start on the left. That could be my starting 11 for now. Of course, tomorrow I might have an afterthought, but most probably that is what I would picture sitting into the mind of Ruben Amorim and what usually he's known for and what he has proven that he does. But whichever way, either way, I think the excitement should be about those young kids and what they can bring. Keep your focus on them, see what they do, and see how Man United could look in the future. Because expect Kobbie and Ugarte, Lenny Yoro, and then Ahmad, and then obviously Hoyland to be the guys leading the Man United rebuild, or rather the new era, the Amorim era of Man United will be led by those youngsters. So whenever you see them on the pitch, you want to pay attention to them and see what they do, and of course be there to scrutinize the areas in which they are lacking and where they've got to improve. So it's an impressive update for me. Just as I, of course, get into day two of my new look, and can I be honest? I'm actually beginning to love it. I quite like it. I quite like my new look, to be honest. My bald head. I might adopt the style, by the way. I might adopt this new bald head style. Yeah. Hmm? What do you think? Subscribe, like, and share. I'll be back later, fam.